Okay, and we're live. We're back on air. Mr. Mordue, how are you?
Excellent, Mark. How are you?
Very good, very good. Good to be.
Been a good week.
Yeah,
Good week.
it's been
Well, I say a good week. I spent a week in a motorhome, so I figured out what that's all about.
okay.
Uh, I had this idea. My wife's been kicking around wanting to buy one of these big motorhomes and
Mm-hmm.
travel around it, and I'm like, yeah, let's rent one first. Let's rent one. And so I had my niece's wedding last Saturday in Houston. So it's a perfect opportunity because we weren't going to go to Inspire anyway because it was too hot
Mm-hmm.
to rent a motorhome and take a week trip, and that's where I broadcast from last week. Um, and after a week of traveling on a motorhome, I think we've decided we no longer want to buy one.
Okay, well, that saved you a lot of coin then.
That did save a lot of money there. So, and we know where we could borrow one when we need to, so we're good.
Yeah, I think it's part of the whole new economy we live in, right? That we can just borrow somebody else's stuff rather than, the sharing economy, whether it's Uber, whether it's Airbnb. And I mean, in this case, I didn't even realize you can just hire these things, right?
Yeah, at least here in the U.S. there's a site, I can't remember what it's called, RV Share or something like that. It's like Airbnb for RVs.
Okay.
People that got their own RVs and looking a way to offset the cost,
Mm-hmm.
rent it out to other folks. So it worked out nice. It's not like the old days. You want to rent an RV, you got some big billboard plastered on the side of it. Rent me,
Gotcha.
and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And like you say, even the technology's changed even that. I mean, you still these RVs hauling cars behind them, but with Uber, what do you haul a car for? You know,
Mm. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
doesn't seem to
yeah.
make sense. We got anywhere we needed to go from Uber.
Yeah.
You know.
And it's so easy to hire cars now more than ever nowadays too.
Yeah, yeah. So it was an interesting week. You and I both missed out on actually attending Inspire, but that doesn't mean we didn't keep an ear to the ground
Mm-hmm.
about some of the stuff going on. I think you probably had a better chance to keep an ear to the ground than I did, since I was driving a motorhome.
Mm-hmm.
But lots of interesting stuff going on. What were some of the things that you found interesting last week that are burning a hole in
Um,
the ecosystem?
what do I find interesting? I think the one of the announcements that Satya made on stage, kind of reinforcing and endorsing, if you like, the Power Platform. He made this statement. I tweeted it out the other day. Let me just see what it is. He said, and I quote, 500 million apps are going to get created in the next 5 years. Think about that. That's more than the last 40 years. The challenge of 500 million applications is that there's just not going to have enough professional developers to build those apps. And he goes on. So, why we need citizen developers but what I love is that it's like it's really been considered prime time now, as in within Microsoft, the Power Platform is really becoming one of their core pillars of their business. And I think the financial results, I don't have them in front of me, but in what I did read the other day, the financial results, it's looking pretty incredibly positive.
Yeah, unless my math is wrong, that's close to 8.5 million apps per month. That's a lot of freaking apps.
That's a heck of a lot of apps. How many did you say per month?
Well, you said 500 million in 5 years,
Yep.
right? So that's 100 million a year, and divide that by 12. I'm coming to 8.3 million
Wow.
apps a month.
Wow.
So impressive pick a number from Mr. Nadella.
You'd think they wouldn't just pick numbers, though, right? You'd think there would be some thought, some thinking behind what they're coming up with here.
Well, that would have to be the most positive interpretation of every metric they could possibly find, I think, come up with that number. But it needed to land on a nice round number like 500 million.
Yeah.
So, because it wouldn't have been as impressive to stand up there and say, 427,342. And you need to round it up.
Yeah.
Hey, obviously, there's no doubt that there are going to be a ton of apps, right? There are going to be lots of people building apps, and what counts as an app, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
500 million, sure, why not?
Interesting.
You know,
Well,
we get the
I think it's an attractive number. It's an attractive goal to go after, and I think that Microsoft's, we heard Charles Lamana say back there a bit that 10 million odd people building apps on the platform, plus now this 500 million in apps being built. I think it's exciting times.
Yeah, um, definitely a further. I think it's adding more meat to your original thought about Dynamics 365 being dead. I mean, and not so much that it's dead. It's just that this PowerApps thing is going to so overtake and so overshadow everything that's happening on that side. I mean, we're just seeing that the momentum behind the Power Platform is stronger than it ever was behind Dynamics 365, but by orders of magnitude. I mean, it's just incredibly. I mean, Satya's gotten up on stage and discussed or mentioned Dynamics 365 in the past. We would all get excited and wet our pants. Oh, the CEO even mentioned us, but Power Platform is. He went a lot deeper on it, and I think it's coming up in lots of conversations with him now. I think even he sees that that's a path forward.
As in the technology in its own right.
Yeah. I think Dynamics 365 was a business application, sitting there, but Power Platform is this platform that could be so much more than just a business application.
Yeah. I mean, one of the other things that, of course, landed this week was, and I don't know if it was necessarily, there might have been some internal confusion around it. When I say internal on Microsoft side, is that the licensing, got announced, which once again, you and I were privy to it earlier on. But what's your take on the whole licensing side of things?
I'm just looking at our online stream there. It looks like we've got some really bad buffer going on for some reason.
Well, let's not worry about that. I don't think we can do much about that now, but we'll got another recording, which will be okay, and we'll put that live.
Yeah, so anybody's able to hear that, we'll get the recording up there for you guys to be able to watch this afterwards. Yeah, lots of changes, I think, with the Power Platform really announcing licensing almost independent of Dynamics 365 licensing, even more so than I think it had been before. You know, and not just independent in how it's announced, but independent in how it's done. You know, it's being licensed in a different way that Dynamics 365 has been licensed. Actually, I talked to Joel Lindstrom on his little podcast about that yesterday, which I guess is out there today. So some of this may be a little redundant, but yeah, this licensing by app is interesting. This is something that Charles Lamanna had mentioned that to me something a while back that I saw him at. He said, "You're going to like the licensing thing that's coming," but it was too early to tell me anything about what it was. And this is obviously what he was talking about. And that's because he knew it's an ISV. You know, typically an ISV, you know, you were building, you know, an application. And in my case, you know, that's what we did. We have an application, and he just reduced the cost of my application to customers from, you know, $40 a user to $10 a user. So pretty significant, pretty significant. And I think for a lot of ISVs and citizen internal developers that are, you know, building apps internally, now you have to think about. It's funny, they make these changes to licensing, and suddenly you have to rethink everything you always knew, right? When it was $40 a month to use anything, that was one thing. Well, now you got this $10 per user per app per month thing. You can still do the $40, but wait a minute, I could save a ton of money here if I maybe rethink how I put some of this stuff together, right? And go back and kind of re-architect some stuff to where, you know, instead of having 4 apps, maybe I put all these things into a single app, all these capabilities into a single app, you know, and save some money. You know, the same thing with the Dynamics 365 side, getting rid of the plans. That's going to have the same effect. You know, it's going to cause people to have to rethink how they go to market, how they sell these things, because that crutch is not there anymore. It's going to be an interesting few months here for people to digest some of these changes that I guess are going to hit. I mean, these SKUs won't be available until like October, I assume. So I got a little bit of time for people to understand them.
Yeah, exactly. So here's one of the feedback I've got around the licenses. Okay, under the new, and I'm just talking about Power Platform, right? Under the new kind of system or story, the P1 SKU goes away, right? Is that
the P1 SKU goes away, right? It's not needed anymore.
Okay, so when you type, that all comes through really loud. Just FYI. So just one thing to note there. For all those people out there that were building Canvas only apps, they used to pay $7 for the P1 license, right? Unlimited ability to build. Now, those 7 apps that they were building, that's 7 apps. Sorry. So the 7 comes from the individual that communicated to me. They currently had 7 apps running, or Canvas apps built. Under the new licensing system, either they have to license each of those 7 apps or go to the $40 P2 SKU. So for them, there's nothing positive about this. Their cost just went from $7 per user a month to $40 per user a month.
Well, unless they're able to work with the seeded capabilities that came with their other licenses, right?
They only use Canvas. They only use P1. They don't use any P2 whatsoever, or Dynamics licenses.
Yeah.
In other words, CDS is not in game.
Yeah, isn't that part of the seeded PowerApps capability that comes with Office 365? That may be something to look at, because Office 365 has some seeded capabilities on PowerApps.
Well, this customer has been required to use the P1 license to do everything they have. I don't know, but I would assume they have O365 as well. But let's say they don't. In this exact customer's situation, they have now gone from $7 per user per month across their organization under what's been announced, it's now going to be $40 per user per month for them.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we're at that point right now with anything new. I mean, you remember the announcement of the storage changes. Everybody kind of looking at what does this mean? What does this mean? And coming up with scenarios that may or may not be correct, or may be correct, and then Microsoft comes out with some clarification or some slight modification where it makes sense. And there's always going to be outliers.
Yeah.
Remember Neil Benson's customer on the storage thing. They clearly were, because I looked across every one of our customers around the storage changes, and I didn't see where it was going to impact any of them. But clearly, he had one that was going to be impacted in an enormous way. So I think that's a case whenever they make some change to any of these licensing. I think it's going to be a huge impact on a large number of customers. Microsoft's going to look at it and make a change, right? They'll go in and tweak and fiddle, or come out with a clarification. But not for everyone. There'll definitely be some outliers out there that'll be, I'm sure, pay more money.
Yeah. So true. Okay, so just looking at the on-air stuff, definitely there's an issue with the buffering quite heavy. I assume it's because Skype did a little update the other day on us, and this seems to be an issue with Skype that's causing our feed like this, as in Skype definitely did an update. Other things, Steve, do you want to switch over to your other headset? Because every time you move on your chair, for some reason, your mic is picking that up directly into our mix. So every time you squeak back on your chair, we get it's going straight into it, which I have never noticed in all the calls I've done with you before. But I don't know if my ears are getting sensitive nowadays to every bit of sound I hear coming through. So let's try. Hey, are you there? Now you need to switch over your audio on Skype and see how that comes out. Oh, Jess, yep. There.
All right.
Okay, that's much better. So just lean back on your chair, put your arms over your head, do a lean back. Ah, there we go. We're not getting any of that squeak from your chair anymore. Fantastic.
I just need to get a stiff chair that I sit in that doesn't recline, because all these chairs are squeaky. They make noises, carry on, and it definitely gets picked up by the mics.
Yeah, definitely getting picked up by the mics.
Doesn't matter though, because nobody's here.
Yeah, we're definitely, for some reason, we have got this massive issue with buffering today. Which, perhaps it was my claim that this was going to be our best running show yet, that it's kind of bit us in the butt. It's weird because it's Skype that's definitely causing our issue this time. It's just chewed up every resource on the GPU that I can see, and just making it impossible for it to run seamlessly.
So I think you mentioned on the next one we're going to try a different service for the streaming, because Skype.
Yeah, I think we're going to switch to Zoom.us on the next one. I hear in the forums and stuff that's a better way to go. Other people are having more success with Skype, in the quality, if you like, of the connection by going that way. So I think that's what we'll do.
Yeah, I wonder if the recording's coming out okay, because this is...
Yeah, well, the thing is, the recording's recorded locally on my side, so much better control. Yeah,